Welcome to our ASL Tutor app. I'm Evan Miller,
And I'm Michelle.
and this is for CISC334, Development of Assistive Technology.
Our project scope is about how hard it is to learn ASL. Most language learning apps do not include ASL, and it can be very hard to find ASL tutors, ASL classes, and especially at the right price. It can be very expensive to learn ASL, and especially for practicing signing words and finger spelling, you need feedback from a person.
All right, so who are our end users? So this mainly affects people who need or want to learn ASL, especially people who become deaf or hard of hearing later in life and rely on ASL to communicate. People who are hearing but they want to learn ASL, such as students, family members of deaf people, or interpreters, and people who do not have access to skilled signers or ASL teachers or the ability to pay for traditional classes or apps that are available.
So what already exists? Our research, we went on the App Store and found the most popular ASL apps, one of which was ASL Bloom. We reviewed the reviews for the app and found that many people, it succeeded in having mixed learning science and having grammar and an intuitive and appealing design, but it failed in having a very expensive startup cost of about $100 a year subscription.
Another app we found was Linkvano, which, reading the reviews, we saw it succeeds in a Duolingo style learning with engaging lessons and vocabulary tracking. Something that it fails in is outdated format and an expensive subscription to use, about $100 a year. So, two things we wanted to highlight were that we want our app to be free to use and accessible to every user. So now we're going to go through a little project demo.
So to start with our live demo, we have a welcome message to the app. It explains that ASL is a complete living language, a little background on ASL's differentiation from English, that it has its own grammar and sentence structure. Next, our welcome message says to head to preferences to set up the user settings.
All right, so I'm going to hit the get started button and I'm going to go right to preferences. So a few of our preferences, as you can tell, it can ask you your dominant hand. So if you're lefty or righty, that shows that changes the signs that are shown to you while you're learning. So I'm righty, so I'm going to have it on righty. Letter display, it's either static or video. You guys will see that when we go over to the learn section. Practice, that regards to the practice mode, so we'll touch back on that. High contrast mode, this is for people with low vision who need high contrast to use our app. So this is a little example of high contrast. And then video speed, that also regards to practice mode, so we'll go back to that. As for learn, we have different sets. So for the basics, you can learn the letters. And this is a brief demo of the letters. This is the practice tab. So if I were to learn through the teach letters, and I would go over here, see this is B. So I'll check my answer. I was right. This goes on the next one, which is A. So this is how you learn. You complete it, and you can learn all of the letters, so A through Z. For full words, you can open the word set, and it shows you ASL examples of letters that spell out full strings of words. So one example of our settings is if you don't like the videos, you can do static, which, for example, if I want to show this, it just shows you the letters as static images instead of videos for people who have cognitive load issues, or if you prefer this way as well. All right, so I'm going to pass it off to Michelle to talk about the grammar lessons.
So one of the really unique things about our app is that we cover grammar. This is something that a lot of apps don't do. For grammar basics, we have a quick introduction of what makes grammar for ASL unique, saying it has its own rules, and I'm just going to skip through this. We give examples, and then our beginning lesson is just reordering, but we have hints, and these change based on what answers you give. So in this one, you would just reorder. I believe this is book I read. Checks answer, it's the correct one. For something like this would have a different hint, but if I were to put, for example, is, which is something that ASL does not use in its sentence structure, and I check the answer, it would give me a custom hint back saying that you should not be putting in words like is. And yes, so going back here, we have 3 levels, and I think from that we're going to go on to the sets.
All right, so the sets tab, this is where users can make their own custom sets to learn from. One thing that we noticed in some of the apps that we went through was that they didn't have these custom sets that users could learn from. They only had the pre-built ones that the app had. So we wanted, so if a user wants to just learn their family members' names or anything that's specific to them, that they could create sets that they could learn from. So I'm gonna make a new set with family members. And I'm gonna list some people in my family. So this is the people in my family. So I'm gonna save and practice. And I can learn how to say my name and my family's names in ASL. So Brian, it's my dad, and Jared, it's my brother. And then I can practice and quiz myself. This custom saves as a set. Now we also have a set that's pre-built in here to show users how to use them. And then these sets can then be used in practice mode, which we'll show off next. So this is the camera practice. As you can tell, we are down here. And what you can do is you can practice based on the custom sets that you made. So first I'm going to go to preferences, and I'm going to make sure it's on manual because I'm learning right now. So I'm going to go back to practice, and I'm going to hit family members, and I'm going to learn how to say my name. So this is how you sign E. I can see with the camera that I'm putting my hand up, and it also matches the symbol. So that's E, and then V, and then A, and then N. So that's how I would sign my name. If I wanted to practice that, I can switch it over to auto advance, and I can practice signing my name. So it's E, and then switch to V, and then A, and then to N. So that's very simple, learning my name. If I wanted to make the speed increase a bit, I could increase the speed here. And what it does is it just goes through my name a bit quicker, so E, V, A, N. So that's a pretty brief demo of that tab. I could also switch it back over to the video display if I wanted to, if I wanted to see a video example of my name being spelled out. So B-E, B, A, and then N. So you can make these custom sets down here, and you can build any kind of word, and you can go through here. I'll show you another example. Say I want to learn how to say January. So B, J, A, N, U, A, R, and Y. Awesome. So for our tech stack, we used React Native for our front end. We used Expo Router for a file-based navigation and React for navigation tabs. For some custom libraries, we used Expo Image, Video, and Camera libraries to help with the practice tool. We also use local storage, so everything that's saved by the user when they refresh our page can be restored. And then we also use GitHub Pages for our deployment.
For measuring our success and failure, our successes came from users improving their finger spelling recognition speed, accurately identifying finger-spelled words, and accurately creating a sentence with the correct word order. So overall, it was users found the app useful and easy to understand. If we were to continue this project, our future improvements would to add some gamified features to increase user engagement, improve our video tools with user feedback, as well as add user profiles and streaks, and add more lessons and that they adapt to when users learn more.
So how we measured success, we took a fly on the wall approach and had our users try it out. So here's a little video of one of my roommates learning how to say his name in ASL. So we like to see how people approached it. We tried to not give them any kind of direction and see what roadblocks they encountered when using our app, and then we used that to improve our app.
For our user-friendly design, we wanted to include a welcome message, a righty-lefty option, many preference options, so video speed, letter display, and also a simplistic and intuitive design. And we also included the custom sets for users to have for their own customized lesson experience, as well as plenty of descriptions for each tab's functionalities.
So some populations that may be excluded with our app, people that may be excluded include people with visual impairments. The app is heavily visual, so people with limited vision may have trouble using our app because we didn't really account for screen reader support, as everything involves images, video, and camera feedback. Another group that may be excluded is users without smartphones or reliable cameras. The core camera feedback feature requires a functioning front-facing camera and sufficient processing power. How we can adapt some of these limitations is we can add audio descriptions or alt text for sign images, and we can also offer keyboard or tap-based input as an alternate to camera recognition. This is another example of our high contrast mode, which helps people with visual impairments.
Some challenges that we faced while developing, we put into two categories that are easy to solve and more challenging. Some that were more easy to solve were to add multiple correct answers for grammar questions, adding our high contrast mode, and as well as guiding users to the correct response through hints that adjusted depending on response. And some of our more challenging ones were our camera sign recognition. We're dependent on the user having good lighting conditions, and we couldn't include things like hand skin tone variation because we're dependent on hand speak images for our project. We also did not add full word signs to this version. This is a very prototype version that it just covers finger spelling and not full sign words, as well as numbers and lexicon signs.
So for some of our limitations and weaknesses, content dependency, we were reliant on the Handspeak dictionary for sign images and GIFs, which we don't own, which creates a long-term dependency risk. For the future, we would probably create our own or use other people to create our own with more diverse hands. We also struggled a bit with the camera recognition tool. The core feedback loop, which was sign and then confirm correctness, is currently manual rather than automated. We looked into a couple models, but for what time constraint we had, we couldn't really get anything working. But we still think that our camera tool is useful and helpful. Some environmental limitations. For practice mode, it requires a good, consistent lighting. For camera-based features, you need a front-facing camera, and it's currently deployed on GitHub pages, so an internet connection is required at all times for our app. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can also access our application. There's going to be a link in the description that you can access our app.